Welcome on into a live Cleveland Browns Report mailbag edition, as today's episode was filmed during Tuesday's live show. Airs at 5 p.m. Eastern. First question coming in from Derek Huff. What would it take for the Browns to trade into round one? Saw this question ahead of time, so figured I'd do a little bit of homework for you, Mr. Derek Huff. If you truly want to know, like from a mathematical standpoint, this is the formula, okay? The NFL trade value chart, where every single pick in the draft is assigned a number value. So if you want to get to pick 32, the Chiefs, you need to come up with 590 draft points, okay? If you combine the Browns' second and third round pick, you would have 525 draft dollars. That's a little bit short. Now, this is not an exact science, so it's just a measuring stick. And usually the 32nd overall pick can sell for a bit high because whoever's trading up, well, the team trading back knows that team really wants to trade up because they really just want that fifth-year option of availability. So for the Browns to trade up, I think it would cost their second this year and probably next year's second and a day 3 draft pick, something I just don't see the Browns doing unless someone they really love falls that they just did not see in a world being available that late in round number 1. So I would be shocked, to be honest with you, if the Browns found themselves making a pick in round 1 this year. But would you trade up, or would you trade a player, I should add, to move up in the draft? Yes or no? Chime in for me down in the comment section. It's the pinned comment. So scroll on down and let me know. Quick super chat coming in from your boy Ham. Thank you very much. Jacob Kistner. Someone had to break a tie and someone has to try to pick up that Jeremy Stallman energy. And because mystery mail came, can make someone's month. Thanks, Jeremy and Petey. Jacob, we'll circle back to this one later. Jackson Finley, next one up. What's the rumors around Justin Simmons? How much do you trust Antonio Brown? Because he's reporting that Justin Simmons will be a Pittsburgh Steeler. I think he also said Stephon Diggs was going to go to Houston. So maybe he's got some connections with the player side of things here. But as we film on Tuesday right now, Justin Simmons is still a free agent. He's a really good safety. I sure hope the Steelers don't sign him because he'll make them a better football team. He's the NFL interceptions leader since he entered the league in 2016. So for all of our sake, I hope he does not sign in the AFC North and hopefully somewhere in the NFC. Joshua Miller, confidence level of the new offensive coaching staff. I like Ken Dorsey. Kind of excited about the Tommy Rees edition, just kind of bringing some young minds. And I think that also kind of just goes to show from a general football standpoint, coaches, I think, in college are just so fed up and tired of NIL and the transfer portal. Like, it just makes their job 10 times harder because they're constantly working to keep the guys they have on their team, on their roster, and to go and get new players in the portal. So I could see why Tommy Rees was willing to kind of leave college football and join the NFL ranks. Mike Vrabel, of course, not on the offensive coaching staff, but just having him on the sidelines with Jim Schwartz, very excited. So confidence level 1 to 10, 7.4, 7.4. Lil Beam, if the Browns take Edgerrin Cooper at 54, who should they take? I think they should take Cade Stover or Kiran Amegadjie. Who do you think they should take? I think you're asking in round number 3 who they should take. If they go Edgerrin Cooper at pick 54, I think it's a little early for both of those players, if I'm being honest with you. In round 3, I would love if Malachi Corley was still available. And I know I'm kind of a broken record, and my dream draft that's somewhat realistic for the Browns is Cooper in round 2, Corley in round 3. If Corley is gone in round 3, maybe a wide receiver like Jalen Polk. I don't think wide receiver is going to be that big of a need for them as we might think it is. So offensive tackle could definitely be in play at that point. And Kiran Amegadjie could be someone to keep an eye on. Jason Runyon. Would you take Keon Coleman if still there at 54? I personally am not like super high on Keon Coleman. If you don't know who that is, it's the Florida State wide receiver. He's about like 6'3", 215 pounds. He is a red zone threat. He's a jump ball guy. People say he kind of lives above the rim type of player. And when I think about the Browns wide receiver room, are they looking for one of those types of players? they've got Amari Cooper and David Njoku who are really good at that role in the red zone. More so Njoku than Cooper. So, sure, I think they could stand to add a red zone guy, but that's Cedric Tillman. Like, that's what they need Cedric Tillman to develop into. And I think if we just try to replace guys after one season, we're just going to be going nowhere every single year. So I would be surprised if Keon Coleman is there, but even if he's projected to go a lot earlier, I don't think it's a good fit for the Browns. So actually, unpopular opinion maybe, I would pass on Keon Coleman at pick 54, and I'm sure someone's going to clip that in 3 years, and it will come to haunt me. Now, before we get on to the other questions on today's mailbag, today's show was made possible thanks to our friends over at Game Time. Download the Game Time app today and use code ChatSports for $20 off. Now, what is Game Time? Well, it's the best place to get last-minute seats. Don't worry about the ticket price because at Game Time, they're going to have the lowest price guaranteed, and they give you an all-in option on the homepage so you know up front what the sticker price truly is. So make sure to download the Game Time app today and use that code ChatSports to get $20 off. A feature I love about Game Time is you can get a view of your seats before you purchase the tickets. So that way you don't show up and you're shocked to see what the actual view is and you're not sitting behind some big beam or something like that. So make sure you download the app, use this code on screen, ChatSports, for $20 off. It's the best place to find last-minute seats. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and redeem code CHATSPORTS, CHAT Sports, for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last-minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. I put all that information in the comments and description of today's video. Joshua Miller, will Cade York get into a regular season game this year? I sure hope not because I really like Dustin Hopkins following last season. But Hopkins has dealt with injuries throughout his NFL career. I feel like you could just blindly assume most kickers never miss a game, and that's a good assumption to make. Not with with Dustin Hopkins. So, will he get into a game this year? Possible. Dustin Hopkins hasn't played a full season. I think in a few seasons he has missed some time lately. So, I would not rule it out as Joshua Miller reps his Cade York jersey in his profile picture. Jackson Finley. Week 1 in Brazil. We're filming this right now, Tuesday afternoon, and all signs are pointing to the Green Bay Packers going down to Sao Paulo to play the Philadelphia Eagles. I would not put your money on that. Brody, what happens to Elijah Moore if the Browns draft Troy Franklin? I would say Elijah Moore is probably not coming back after this season. And maybe the Browns find a way to re-sign him. You know, if he plays really, really well, then I'm sure Cleveland will love to keep him. But he may get a bigger contract in free agency elsewhere. So we'll have to wait and see. What happens to him, though? I think Troy Franklin will compete, obviously, like the rest of them, for some snaps. And I think Elijah Moore's got a good footing and a good grasp on his spot in the depth chart. And I think the Browns and Berea, the decision makers, think very highly of Elijah Moore. So for that reason, I just don't think the Browns are going wide receiver at pick 54. They've traded for all 3 of their star wide receivers, right? All 3 top guys, Cooper, Judy, and Moore. Don't you think after Andrew Berry traded for them, he wants to see them play? That's why I'm kind of fading receiver in round 2. Tim Green, if DeShaun Watson doesn't go well this season, how would you grade the trade to get him? Let's say DeShaun Watson plays all 17 games and the Browns go 7-10. Miss the playoffs. Say it'd be an F trade. I don't really know how you could say otherwise, right? If you want to argue with me, you're probably saying it's a D. Is that what we want to argue over, an F or a D? I mean, I sure hope that doesn't happen. Hope Deshaun Watson and the Browns play very well, and I'm optimistic. But if it does not go well this year, I think Deshaun Watson's still coming back in 2025, yeah. But there's probably going to be a rookie quarterback coming in earlier in the draft to Cleveland. Josh, next one up. Gavon Sanders could be a solid get as a tight end 2 with tight end 1 upside if Njoku moves on in a couple of years or gets hurt. So it's funny you mentioned that, Josh, because when I first saw Sanders visit the Browns, like, hey, that's not a bad idea, right? If Njoku gets hurt, he's got injury history. And then I kind of like threw some water on my face. Sure, Njoku has run into injuries in his career, but outside of like that 20, I want to say, is it 18 to or 19 to 20, that like 2 year stretch where that wrist injury knocked him out for much of the season, like he's played pretty much every single game every single season. I mean, he burned half his face off last year and missed one game as a result. So Njoku has always been such a Cleveland guy through and through, not from the area, from New Jersey, went to Miami, then drafted by the Browns. And I mean, he goes to war to defend the city of Cleveland. So I think he wants to be a Brown for the rest of his career. So I don't think the idea of drafting Sanders is a replacement for Njoku. I think it's simply a approach as to what you want to do offensively, and that is more two tight end sets. So I wouldn't view Sanders as them thinking a few years down the road to move on from the Chief. All right, let's get into pick a card mode with producer Trace today. What are you thinking, Trizzy Trace?
Let me do the Jack of Hearts.
Jack of Hearts?
Yeah.
I'm going to do the Five of Diamonds.
I like it.
Just feeling it, you know what I mean?
I like it.
Just feeling it. Not too far off. Queen of Spades.
Oh.
Queen of Spades. All right. That will do it for us on our mailbag today. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. For those of you that watched and asked questions during our live show. And coming out with us next Tuesday, 5 p.m. Eastern, so you can get your question on screen during the mailbag.